What up, YouTube? Cam that guy here. I'm back once again with another YouTube video, man. So in this YouTube video, I'm about to be doing a Bible video, okay? It's been a long time since I did a Bible video, right? It's been a long time since I've been on YouTube in general, right? But today's the day. You see what I'm saying? Today's the day. I'm getting ready to do a Bible video on Romans, right? I'm getting ready to read Romans, a couple chapters, right? I'm gonna break it down for you the best I can, and all that other shit. So I read this Bible shit offline. You see what I'm saying? I read this Bible shit offline, right? And I thought it was one of the more interesting books of the Bible I have read. I would definitely say when it pertains to the New Testament, I think it's one of like the best Bibles I ever read. You know what I'm saying? Like when it pertains to the New Testament, I think it's one of the best one of the best books of the Bible in the New Testament. So I'm gonna go ahead, you know what I'm saying, read it and break it down for you and all that other shit, right? You know what I mean? So let's go and get to it, right? So I'm reading out of King James Version and all that other shit. Oh, my fault. I don't kick my little thing. Tripod and shit. Trying to get, you know what I'm saying, let's kind of move me around. Alright, so look, you know what I'm saying? I'm reading out this version of the Bible. There's different translations of it. A lot of people, they probably got a newer translation. If you're watching this right now, you probably got a newer translation. You know what I'm saying? You probably got an older translation. But I do want to let people know, when it pertains to the Bible and shit, do get older translations versus newer translations. You know what I'm saying? For anybody out there that is religious in any type of way, do, you know what I'm saying, get older translations versus new translations. And the translations of the Bible, they have new English, well, they have new international version. They have new international version. They have King James version, right? Those are the two most popular ones. But after that, they got English Standard Version. And then they have, I forgot what this other one is called. I think it's Old English Version or something like that. And then it's this other one or some shit. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Those are the different type of Bibles that they have or whatever, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Without further ado and shit, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get to reading Romans. I don't know how many chapters I'm going to read, but we better go ahead and get into it, man. So look. Romans. Let's go, man. Paul wrote Romans, and this is the introduction, right? On each introduction of the book, they let you know who wrote it. You know what I'm saying? All that other shit. They let you know like what it's about, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Throughout all the about all this shit. You know what I mean? So that's how it going, shit. You know what I mean? They let you know. This is a little introduction. They put this in front of each Bible chapter. They give you an overall theme of it and shit. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Paul wrote Romans in lieu of a trip to Rome. He was in Corinth, but circumstances prevented his going on farther. So instead of a personal visit, Paul explained the things he would otherwise have told them in person. He wanted to assure the saints in Rome that the coming of Jesus Christ was indeed the fulfillment of God's promises in the Old Testament. He put this coming on Christ into a very comprehensive perspective so that the book of Romans is the most powerful theological of history in the Bible. This is true. I read this chapter. That's the reason why I want to read it again. You see what I'm saying? It's funny how I end up coming back to this chapter, the book of the chapter, right? Because I agree with like what Romans is saying, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, look. Because God created the world and all people ought to be able to know and worship God simply on the basis of nature. But beginning with Adam, sin has plunged everyone instead into the evils which bring down God's wrath on them. Even the law which God gave at Sinai, as good as it was not, did not succeed in the making of Israelites' righteousness. But now, through Christ, God declares people righteous simply on the basis of their believing in Jesus. So believers are required to order their lives not on the basis of the Jewish laws, but on serving Christ and the Holy Spirit. Okay. So, this is pretty much giving you, you know what I'm saying, the introduction and the overall theme of Romans. Wrote by Paul, you see what I'm saying? It's telling you about God's promises of the Old and New Testament, how God created the world, how people are supposed to worship God, you know what I'm saying, how people need to be righteous, you know what I'm saying, all that other shit. It speaks on God's wrath that will be upon them, and all that other shit, right? So this is Romans, you know what I'm saying? So let's go and get into it, man. Here we go, man. Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God, which he had promised afore but his prophets in the holy scriptures, concerning his son Jesus Christ our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of God with power according to the Spirit of holiness by the resurrection from the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all the nations from his name. So look, Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? For people out there that don't know, Jesus was a servant to God. You know what I'm saying? Jesus came here by God back in BC or whatever, right? God decided to send Jesus down to try to fix the world and shit, right? So that's, you know what I'm saying, what he tried to do and shit, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, from here, it just pretty much talking about, you know what I'm saying, how Christ, you know what I'm saying, you know, made promises, you know what I'm saying, with his prophets. If you don't know what a prophet is pretty much a high-ranking preacher. That's pretty much a prophet, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what that is and shit like that, you know what I mean? And then, you know what I'm saying, look, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Then, you know, Jesus Christ, he died, came back from the dead, all that other shit, right? So, you know, I'm stopping every 5 verses just to kind of break you down and shit. I don't want to read a whole lot and read too little, so I just stop every 5 verses, you know what I'm saying? That's just something I do. For people that know me for a long time, they know I read every 5 verses and then I give a summary on based off what we read, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Let's go and keep going. Verse 6, among whom are ye also the called of Jesus Christ, to all that be in Rome, beloved of God, called to be saints. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Verse 8, first I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all, that your faith is spoken of throughout the whole world. Verse 9, for God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit, in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I make mentions of you always in my prayers. Verse 10, making requests, if by any means now at length I might have a prosperous journey by the will of God to come unto you. All right, man, so here we go, man. So it's basically saying, look, ooh, arm popping, hold on. Okay, cool. Now, it's basically saying, look, you know what I'm saying, God, you know what I'm saying, is, you know what I'm saying, the creator, all that other shit, you know what I mean? He's saying, look, you know what I'm saying, he's saying that Jesus is being a witness unto God, and like the other people, they're witnesses of what, you know what I'm saying, has happened. You know, obviously they got it documented, they wrote it down, and they have other ways of telling it, like in drawings and other shit. You know what I mean? And it's pretty much saying, look, you know what I'm saying, that they serve God with their spirit, you know what I'm saying, all their might, you know what I'm saying, that's what it's saying, what they doing shit, you know what I mean, and it's saying, look, you know what I mean, make sure that you mention me in your prayers and shit. A lot of people, they don't know how to pray to Jesus or God, or they don't even do it anymore, you know what I'm saying, so it's saying, look, you know what I'm saying, make sure you keep your faith, you know what I'm saying, throughout the world, you know what I mean, continue to, you know what I'm saying, mention me, you know what I'm saying, Jesus in your prayers and shit. I always feel like when you pray, a lot of people when they pray, they probably, even like before this time of hackness or some shit, they probably just only prayed to God, right? They never tried to reach Jesus or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, you know, even back in like the 90s, back before, you know, popular times, right? A lot of people, they probably just only prayed to God but never Jesus, you know what I'm saying? That's probably what they ended up doing, you know what I'm saying? In reality, you're supposed to pray to both. Essentially, you know what I'm saying, God is Jesus, right? But you need to kind of connect with Jesus, try to talk to Jesus, you see what I'm saying, instead of just God. That's pretty much all I'm saying, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Let's go and go to verse 11, right? So verse 11, for I long to see you, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift, to the end ye may be established. Verse 12, that is, that I may be comforted together with you by the mutual faith, both of you and me. Verse 13, now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I proposed to come unto you, but was let hindereth, that I may have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles. Verse 14, I am a debtor both to Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the unwise. Verse 15, so as much as in me, I am ready to preach the gospel to you that are at Rome also. You know what I mean? So let's go and get into it, man. So it's basically saying that God is saying, look, I see spiritual gifts in you. He's saying, I see stuff in you and shit like that, you know what I mean? And he's saying, you know what I'm saying? He's saying that, look, keep the faith mutual, you know what I'm saying? All that shit. And I wonder what they're saying between it. Says that is that I may be comforted together with by the faith by both you and me. I don't know. I was thinking, you know what I'm saying, maybe they was talking about Jesus and God or some shit. But they're the same entity, they're the same person. But anyway, that's a story for another day, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? That's kind of like what it is or shit, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know what I mean? And then it's saying, look, you know what I'm saying? I will not have you ignorant, right? Y'all know I say that word often, right? I'll be like, ignorant means like, you know, like you lack knowledge. That's what ignorant means, right? You know what I mean? And then it's saying, look, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, I may have some fruit among you and other Gentiles. If you don't know what that means, fruit means, you can say children. You know what I'm saying? That's what fruit means. Fruit means children. You know what I mean? So if you didn't know what that means, fruit does mean children. You know what I mean? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it means and shit. So anyway, as I go down this shit, you know what I'm saying? It's saying that, look, you know what I mean? As far as the barbarians, so a lot of people probably don't know what barbarian mean. A barbarian is pretty much like an old warrior. You know what I'm saying? Or some shit like that, like a battler or like you know what I mean? Some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it means. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and then it's saying that they're ready to preach in the Rome. So here we go. So verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. That is me right there. I am not ashamed to do this Bible shit. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. Verse 17, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Verse 18, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Verse 19, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it unto them. Verse 20, for the invisible things of him from creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. All right, man, so here we go, man. So look, he's saying, look, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. I guess that's what, you know, the people are saying, the Greeks, you know what I'm saying? The Greeks are saying that, and I'm not sure if the barbarians are saying that, but I think the Greeks are saying that and shit, and just the people there and shit, you know what I mean? Because they're talking about, you know, Rome. They're in like the Rome area right now, right? You know what I mean? So that's what they're talking about. And at this time, this was AD, which means after Dominion, after Dominion, you know what I'm saying? So this was after Dominion around this time. So this is where Rome ended up happening, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? But then we go to as we go on, it's saying, look, God, you know what I'm saying, righteousness will be revealed from faith to faith as it is written in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, especially nowadays, they either try to misconstrue the Bible or they take the Bible like 100% literal. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they kind of got to use a little common sense and, you know, know what's right from wrong and shit. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes and shit. You know what I mean? And then here's the interesting part. You know what I'm saying? It says, "For the wrath of God will be revealed." You know what I'm saying? In heaven, right? For a lot of people who don't know, heaven is where you go once you die if you believe in Jesus. You know what I'm saying? You go to an afterlife. You know what I'm saying? There's either heaven or hell. You go to an afterlife, right? So heaven is the good place and then hell is the bad place. And then it's saying God will reveal the ungodliness and unrighteousness. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to end up happening. So ungodliness is what's going on right now. This is ungodly. You see what I'm saying? To put chips in people's body, to act like a tyrant, to run shit, you know what I'm saying? To try to be in control. That's ungodly. You see what I'm saying? So, when it's all said and done, you know what I'm saying? Shit, you know what I'm saying, will reveal itself, right? And then unrighteousness is obviously, you know what I'm saying? You can just say unholiness, you know what I'm saying? Being improper, like unpolite. I mean, being unpolite. You know what I'm saying? Being unholy, being a mean person. That's being unrighteous, right? You know what I mean? All that other shit, right? You know what I mean? So yo, you know what I mean? Here we go with verse 19 though. You know what I'm saying? Because that which may be known. Well, I already read that, right? So anyway, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need to read it. Let me go ahead and summarize this 19 and 20 real quick. So what it's saying from here, you know what I'm saying? I think this is interesting right here. It's saying that invisible things from of the world will be seen clearly. That's an interesting wording. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know what that's supposed to mean or some shit. But basically what it's saying is God's gonna reveal some shit. Maybe revealing angels or just some other shit. You know what I'm saying? That was something that stood out to me the most out of everything I read, right? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, you know what I mean? It's saying that look, you know what I'm saying? God has, eternal power and all that other shit. And yeah, you know what I mean? That's pretty much shit and shit. But here we go. I'm about to go and read 21 through like a 25 or whatever, right? So here we go. Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but become vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Verse 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Verse 23. And changed the glory of the uncorrupted God into an image made like the corruption, made like to corruptible man, and to the birds and four-footed beasts and creepy things. Verse 24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Verse 25, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. All right, let's go and get into it, man. So look, because okay, so here's going to summarize, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's saying, look, you know what I'm saying? Before people knew who God was, you know what I'm saying, they glorified ungodly people and their hearts were foolish and darkened. See what I'm saying? So they became fools and unwise. What ended up happening, you know what I'm saying, was, you know, God, you know what I'm saying, is saying that, look, you know what I'm saying, he's going to, end up, you know what I'm saying, changing, you know what I mean, the image of a lot of things in the world. You see what I'm saying? He's going to make the world a better place. He's going to get rid of all evil, creepy things, beasts, people, just ungodly shit, and try to make the world look better and just reveal shit. Just like he said earlier, he's going to try to reveal shit unto the people and shit, right? You know what I mean? That's what he said and shit, right? And let me mention something, right? Uncorruptible God into an image like corruptible man. You know what I'm saying? So this right here is interesting. Let me break this down. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible men, and to be da. So basically what it's saying was God is uncorruptible, right? So God, the real God, Jesus Christ, whatever, is uncorruptible. If you don't know what uncorruptible means, uncorruptible means you can't be controlled. You see what I'm saying? That's what uncorruptible means, right? If I didn't have this chip in my body, I would be uncorruptible. You know what I'm saying? And I was like that for many years. I mean, I was uncorruptible, right? But since I got this chip in my body, I am a little bit kind of controlled a little bit, right? But I will be 100% uncorruptible if I did not have this chip in my body, right? But aside from that, I will say this much: the man is corruptible. I can corrupt the man. Any man, any dog, anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Can get corrupted. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what it is and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So basically, what this is saying that is people other than God can be corruptible. That's what it means and shit. You know, that means pretty much controlled. That's what it means. Man, well, and what it's saying is, let's speak on this real quick. You know what I'm saying? It's saying God also gave uncleanliness to people who lust and dishonor themselves with their bodies and shit like that, right? This right here is a real thing. You got men and women out here that are very lustful and they dishonor themselves with their bodies. A lot of people, they think sex is like the way of life and shit. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? You know, I don't go with that shit. You know what I mean? I wait till marriage and shit. You know, I care about getting married and shit. I go by the Bible, but not just because of the Bible. It's because of STDs mainly, and then it's because you know what I'm saying. I attach really easily, especially at first. I'm liable to get close to you know what I mean. But yeah, that's kind of like how it is and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why waiting till marriage is the best route for me and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at this last verse real quick. 'Cause this is interesting because this is what's happening right now, right? It's saying, look, people change the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like in my case, you know what I'm saying? When you think about it, you know what I mean? Even when it pertains to just me having a child, right? They going to end up going with the creature more than the creator, which is me. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to say I'm a god or anything like that, but that's a perfect example, right? You know what I mean? But back to the topic at hand, no human being should be worshipped or whatever, right? But anyway, when it pertains to everything else, look, that just go for tyrants and people in general. Like people now they're worshiping human beings more than actually the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And what the rules apply by and shit. A lot of people they discard the Bible. They'll probably take a verse here and there and misconstrue it and try to manipulate it. You know what I'm saying? All that other shit. Like know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? Don't take the Bible 100% literal. Take it more like 80 or some shit, or 85 or 90. Don't take every word to the T 100% literal. Try to a lot of people they try to apply the Bible to currently in real life. Like, don't do that. Don't try to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's ungodly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can take, you know what I'm saying, a little bit, like you can use an example or some shit, but don't try to literally put that shit in real life. Like that don't make no sense. Like, don't do that. That's ungodly to me, right? You know what I mean? So that's what some people are doing shit. But basically what it's saying was people, you know what I'm saying, who, you know what I'm saying, worship God, you know what I'm saying, more than the false gods or some shit, will be blessed forever. Amen. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's saying and shit, you know what I mean? So yo. But anyway, let's go ahead and go verse 26 to verse 30. You know what I mean? For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their woman did not change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also men leaving the natural use of the woman burned in their lust one toward another. Men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which was meat. Verse 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over the reprobate mind to do these things which are not convenient. Okay. Verse 29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, megalinity, whispers. 30. Backbitters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, investors of evil things, disobedient to parents. Just going to finish off. Without understanding, verse 31, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. Last verse, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only to do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Woo! That was a lot we read. Let's go and cover it all. So, you know what I'm saying? Look, you know what I mean? Let's go and begin back here, right? You know what I mean? So I want to, make sure. Okay, so it's saying, look, you know what I mean? God gave, you know what I'm saying, men up to women, for affections or some shit, right? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, again, it's God's nature, you know what I'm saying, to have that type of stuff, having the lust or some shit, right? And then it's saying that women, you know what I'm saying, they got burned or whatever because they lusted for one another or some shit, right? Ain't that what I read? Of women burned in their lust. Okay, yeah, so they got burned and shit, right? You know what I mean? For lust, like STD and shit, right? You know what I mean? And then, you know what I'm saying? You know, okay. And then, you know what I'm saying? It was, that's unseemly and all that other stuff, right? So then check me out. Check this out, right? You know what I'm saying? What ended up happening, you know what I'm saying? It's saying that, look, you know what I mean? It's saying that, look, you know what I'm saying? So it says, being filled, you know what I'm saying, with unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covenantous. Y'all know I said wickedness in one of my songs, right? I got vocabulary and shit. Maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters, despiteful, proud, boastful, investors, disobedient, covenant breakers, natural affection, implicable, unmerciful, all that shit, right? This is all sin. This is all sin right here, right? You know what I'm saying? And this happens in today's society, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of people out here, they're unrighteous, which means they're unholy, they're unpolite, you know what I mean, mean and shit, you know what I'm saying? Wicked, you know what I'm saying? Means, you know what I mean, pretty much the same, you know what I'm saying? It's evilness, it's not pleasant, all that other shit, you know what I mean? Murder means to kill, debate means, you argue and shit, you know what I mean? Haters mean you hate and shit like that. Boast means you brag and shit, you know what I mean? You disobedient to your parent, you know what I'm saying? That means you don't obey them. Now, obviously, some people are not equipped to be parents, but that's just how it's going, shit. And then, you know what I'm saying? Covenant breakers, that means you break the covenants of the Bible. If you don't know, there was covenants in the Old Testament, right? We covered some of the covenants, you know what I'm saying? So I'm about to go over that prior for clarity, you know what I'm saying? But that's definitely in the Old Testament, right? Natural affection, you know what I'm saying? That's a sin too. That means, that lust shit. I talk about that often. I'm waiting until marriage when it comes to that shit. You know what I mean? Unmerciful, that means you don't show mercy, and all that other shit, right? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then it says, who knowing the judgment of God that commit such things or are worthy of death. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically saying that if you disobey these things, you're worthy of death. That's pretty much what it's saying, right? You know what I mean? If you do these type of things, you should die. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it's saying, right? You know what I mean? So that's, what it comes down to and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, you know what I'm saying? I don't do none of these things. You know what I'm saying? I don't whisper. Niggas be whispering on the street to me. I don't do that evil shit. You know what I mean? I don't kill. You know what I'm saying? I'm not evil. You know what I mean? None of that shit. You know what I mean? I'm a very good, holy person. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to and shit. You know what I mean? So definitely, you know what I'm saying? And very much righteous as can be. You know what I'm saying? And definitely very much more holy than a lot of people. A lot of people think I'm a bad guy. I had somebody even try to say, like, I'm like a demon or some shit. I'm like, you crazy as hell. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to suppress my spiritual energy because, sometimes, when I read the Bible too much, my inner life can become worse than, without reading it. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes, shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it, though. I mean, this video is 29 minutes. I don't like to make my videos no longer than 30. So I read one chapter and shit. Yeah, that works for me and shit, you know what I'm saying? So we can go with that and shit. And for people out there I don't know that might be coming across this video and shit, look, I got a chip in my body. So that's the reason why I did a few stutters and shit. But look, I am full control over my thoughts. Like, I know what I'm saying. Like, I know what I am saying right now. You see what I'm saying? Like, Cameron Jordan Scott speaking here, not no one else. You know what I'm saying? I'm in control of my thoughts. You can go watch this YouTube video that's getting ready to go up hopefully soon. I'm going to explain the chip in detail. And matter of fact, I'm going to do another video on it going into more detail. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned for that and shit. Then I'm going to Kim That Guy channel. But anyway, that's about it. You know what I mean? I read chapter 1. we pretty much at 30 minutes, and that's gonna be the end of this. You know what I mean? So I hope y'all enjoy this shit. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. I do want to read some more on camera. You know what I'm saying. I'll probably I gotta look over it real quick. Anyways, you know, I was trying to see what future verse I could read. So I'm probably gonna read a little bit off camera, but then I'm gonna end up coming back, you know what I'm saying, on camera and shit. So we'll probably be back about chapter 405 maybe, you know what I'm saying, all that other shit. I don't want to read every single verse on camera, but chapter 1 was very prevalent, you know what I'm saying. That was a good starting point, you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna do a little bit off camera, and I'm gonna come back on camera and shit, you know what I mean. But Bible views are officially back. I know some people out there were waiting for them, so here you go. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying, that's the end of this video and shit, you know what I mean? So I'm about to go ahead and pray real quick, and then that's gonna be it for me, you know what I'm saying? So let me go and do that real quick. It's been a minute since I prayed, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I haven't prayed in a long time, you know what I'm saying? I haven't prayed in a minute, man, so I'm about to do a mental prayer that's probably gonna, be read and shit, mentally read. But, I'm praying to God, you know, so I'm not praying to no human being, right? So I'm about to go do that and shit. And then I'm about to get ready to end this video, man. So let me do that real quick, man. Here we go, man. Alright, man. I don't need to fold my hands. I'm doing too much. Alright, let me think. It's been a minute, man. Here we go. Let me blink a couple times. Okay. Alright, here we go, man. Here we go. Alright. Oh shit. Oh man. I'm laughing at that ambulance. Alright, man, I'm done, man. I prayed, man. It's been a minute since I prayed. About the next 3 to 4 prayers, I'm gonna be, flowing and shit. But I try to pray, man. You know, the people who, got my body type, they know what I said. But there's no point in me even repeating that shit. But that's pretty much shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But yeah, that's pretty much shit, man. And yeah, that's it. But other than that, that's pretty much all I gotta say for right now. I hope y'all enjoyed this Bible video. And like I said, I'm gonna catch y'all later and shit, you know what I mean? Yo.